Welcome to Decades of Horror, the 1980s.
Tell me about my uterus.
This is episode 177, recorded March 17th, 2021.
Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1980 and 1989. Each episode, my co-host Bill Mulligan, Crystal Cleveland, and Chad Hunt, and I will tackle another classic, or not so classic, film from this radical, gory, influential, and gruesome decade. We should do this in like a call response, I think.
Yeah. I think we can at this point, because now I'm
Joining me tonight is Crystal Cleveland, the living dead girl and co-host of the Gruesome Magazine podcast. How are you, Crystal?
I'm fabulous. I mean, my uterus feels good and right, and it's there. And I'm pretty sure I only have one cervix, so I think I'm doing well.
Well,
I'm not a mutant.
and you want to point out, none of us responded to you.
Y'all don't even know what to say. Y'all are like,
we're taking your word for all of that. Okay.
nope.
By the way,
I know
I am a
nothing.
mutant, but we'll just leave it at that.
You've got one more uterus than the rest of us have, so I think.
That's
Well,
also joining us
technically,
tonight.
green eyes and red hair is mutants too. So,
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. There
Yeah.
you go. Also joining us is Chad Hunt, comic book artist and co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s and the classic era. And he does a bunch of other stuff too. He's a cool artist, comic book artist, producer, director at Wreak Havoc Productions. So,
Yep.
Chad, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm going through my list of stuff to tell Crystal about her uterus. As she gets along, it's both sides.
Have
of the
you
page.
thought about?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm sun-kissed, but I'm good.
I'm trying to figure out your name. Glad there's not.
Yeah.
not two of them.
Be glad there's
Be
no.
Glad there's not two of me.
Be
yeah.
glad. Oh, okay.
Now I got it. Be glad.
My talent is wasted here.
It is.
I got it.
I just
got
thought it was a German
So I was like,
word or
be.
something.
See, Crystal got
But
it.
that's why he put the period, so you would know it was separate.
Right.
Like he made it. Like,
These two geniuses up here, the science teacher and the engineer, had problems with it. I don't know.
I
And last
don't
but
know
not
if the
least,
world's
this-
ready for two Chads.
Yeah.
I had to kill the other one.
Last but not least is Bill Mulligan, writer, director,
See?
special effects guru, and co-host of Decades of Horror, the 1970s. How you doing, Bill? And you know what? He's an all-around nice guy too.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
He is.
I'm all around vaccinated now. I got my second
Yay.
shot
Oh.
today.
Nice.
So immortality. Come on, COVID, give me your best shot. No, actually, for 2 weeks I got to hide, and but that's cool.
Now you
So yes, and
now
I'm
you
hearing
go
this
spring
more and
break.
more from people. So North Carolina has done a good job. I give the state a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And I give my town a lot of crap, but they've done a good job of getting
They
this
have.
out there, and we're starting
Yeah, they
to
have.
see the results. So yeah, happy.
Man,
Yeah.
I
North
don't mind.
Carolina. North
Yeah.
Carolina.
Iowa.
Oh well.
Although my friend and my old roommate and I think that this Iowa nice slogan should be changed to Iowa stupid, but you know that's a whole other thing.
Wow. Send
You
your
might have
cards
some
and
people behind
letters
you on
to.
Nobody's-
Iowa seems
All right.
like a fine place.
Yes.
I love
To all our listeners, Iowa is a great place. Iowa's the best.
I
To
love
all our
Iowa.
listeners.
I love Iowa.
Yeah.
Jeff's
Yeah.
like,
It's just certain people.
Well, yeah. Hell is other people. That's well.
All right.
mm,
Our topic tonight is Dead Ringers. Another David Cronenberg film, which we love David Cronenberg films.
We do.
hell yeah, we do.
Written by David Cronenberg and Norman Snider from the novel by Barry Wood and Jack Geasland. Anybody read this back in the day?
No.
No, I heard about the story. That was the true story.
I believe the novel is
Wait, this was a true story?
it was based on a true story. Yeah.
based on a true story.
What?
Yeah.
And Well, I read a book by Barry Wood called Tribe, which was pretty good. It was a Gollum thing.
Oh, Gollum?
But I did not read this one. Starring Jeremy Irons, Genevieve
And Jeremy Irons.
and Jeremy Irons, and Heidi von Pileski. Release dates. This is a Canadian film. It was first released September 8th, 1988, and in the U.S., September 23rd, 1988. Filmed from February 1st, 1988 to April 12th in and around Toronto. And the synopsis kind of says it all in a little bit of an understatement. Twin gynecologists take full advantage of the fact that nobody can tell them apart until their relationship begins to deteriorate over a woman.
True. Very true.
Yep.
Yep.
Begins to deteriorate over a woman.
It sounds like one of those 80s sex comedies. And
actually,
that's probably how they sold it.
But it does. I mean, before that, they seem to get along just fine. Really, they seem to have a very simpatico relationship.
They have a marriage.
Yeah.
And it, as usual, a dame comes in between them, and that's that.
Yeah, that's the hard thing with thruples.
The politically correct term is broad. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, clearly. Mm-hmm.
Cards and letters
to Brian Dunleavy.
Glad there's not two of me. So this poster is which was on my card too. There's like, Bill, how many of these did you see? There's like half a dozen different variations of different colors and shades.
Yeah. This was
all the same.
Man, this was a hard sell, and they didn't really know what to do, and I can see the problem here. Let me just say, I think Dead Ringers is not a great name, because it does sound, Dead Ringers is a little too schlocky. It sounds like it would be a good thing for a horror movie, a more traditional horror movie, when this is very much a psychological Cronenberg thing.
Doesn't it mean like they look like you're a dead ringer for that I think it's super spot on. Actually.
Yeah, I guess it's just, to me it's
an apt title, but it doesn't really tell you what
as I'm saying this, I'm like, it's a
Fair.
little too spot on, as opposed to David Cronenberg's other titles like The Fly, Rabid, The Brood. I mean, it's not like he goes for real.
Well, the German title, you may like the German title better.
Oh, of course. It's German.
Die Unzertrennlichen.
I already don't like it.
Yeah.
The Unzertrennlichen.
So what does that mean?
The separated.
Dead Ringers.
The separated.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. The inseparable. That was kind of the opposite. Wasn't it?
Well, so the opposite of the separated. Well, all right.
Yeah.
Well, Inseparable would have been a good title for it. Inseparable.
Yeah. But I love Dead Ringer. Because I guess it's kind of
Who listens to me? Why would anyone?
No. I think it's smart. I think it's
the
smart.
whole premise of the movie is nobody being able to tell them apart because they're dead ringers.
Dead ringers. Yeah, and even like identical twins. I mean, are not typically that identical. I mean, I can usually see them.
Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito took that and ran with it.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, wasn't that no? Yeah.
Twins, yeah. Ivan Reitman, I believe.
The working title was Twins, and they. Yeah. Was it Ivan Reitman came and bought it?
It was Ivan
Reitman.
Wow,
oh, that's cool. But again,
Twins would have been boring.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
title of the book.
This is a hard movie to categorize, so it's a hard movie to title. I mean, I think most people use, what's it about? Okay, twin gynecologists later, and that conversation's over. It's.
I'm so broken because I don't, I think this is such a normal movie to be. But like I said, I was watching it and I've watched tons of David Cronenberg stuff, and I think this is definitely super tame.
I've got a question to ask you later when we get more into it, because I really want a woman's point of view on this, because there's a scene that just about had me levitating out of the chair.
Well, let's look at that.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Does that look normal?
Wait, I can't see.
The gynecological instruments for
there.
operating on mutant women.
It looks like a dealer's table at Mysticon.
Yes. It looks like the stuff they
It
use
does.
to
It
carve
looks
the
like
Joker's
horns.
face.
Looks
It's
like
just-
horns.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I guess for me, I'm just like, I mean, a speculum is kind of weird looking.
Yeah.
Especially the stainless steel ones. Like they have plastic ones and stuff now, or plastic like. I don't know what they're making it, but I mean, he did say that they were actually for separating Siamese twins too, which was kind of a weird thing to say. I don't know how they planned on using. I don't know. I look at him and I don't think that hard about it.
Story, so he made up one that he thought Claire would buy. I think.
Yeah. Well, he tried to use one of those on a woman, darn near killed her. So
Yeah.
But he did say, but Elliot did say that he wasn't supposed to use it on her the way that he was using it.
Yeah,
it
he
was
was
for
using
something else.
Well,
it
that
was a trophy. It was a trophy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was
I
a surgical instrument to keep her open after they cut her, as opposed to something you used on a healthy woman.
This is making me squirm in my chair.
See, this is what I mean. If I was a woman and and the gynecologist walks in with a bowling trophy that he intends to use, I'm out of there.
I guess it's just it doesn't. Oh God, I had a gynecologist one time. I'm gonna tell you the story. Like,
oh God.
he said, "Yeah, oh, I know." He's like, "Oh, you painted your toes. Did you do that for me?" Like, I've had such weird things. Like, one gynecologist said, "We just keep getting better looking and better looking." Right? Yeah. Awkward. So it's always.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what kind of small talk.
It's best not to.
I guess the closest thing for guys would be like having a prostate examined. I don't really want any clever retorts or small talk. I just want it over and done with as fast as possible.
I have a woman
my last
who
exam,
does the prostate
the
exam.
The doctor's going, "That's your prostate," and I'm like, "I'm taking your word for it." Can we get on with it?
Right.
I have
looking for truffles
that does a prostate exam, and she never says, "Well, I guess that's never mind." That's self-evident. She never says,
"You're looking better and better." Good.
I'm just going to hold this finger up while we talk about.
Could you put that finger away?
I'd never call her this, but my brother calls him Dr. Jellyfinger. But okay, we're not talking about proctologists. We're talking about.
Are we having a podcast here? Are we doing that?
Yes, we are. So let's get into some of the details of this film. We'll just kind of rip through these. This was a production of Morgan Creek Entertainment and Telefilm Canada, and apparently Cronenberg had one called the Mantle Clinic 2. Get it? They're the Mantle brothers, and there's two of them. All right. Kind of did most of this budget. This was $13 million estimated.
If it was, I would say a lot of it went to the actors, obviously, and location.
And probably doing some of the split screen effects, which were really well done and not as easy as they could do it now. Now they could probably do it for a fucking change. But
I thought I read somewhere that this was they used like first time they'd used this sort of high tech digital
motion
mapping.
Control camera.
Matt.
That's probably some of the cost too. They probably purchased
or had to build it.
So gross in the U.S. is listed at $8 million, worldwide $14 million. So
came out okay.
Lost money, probably.
Lost money, but again, this was not going to be a blockbuster. No chance.
So, Chad, we only have one tagline for this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay,
give it your all.
2 bodies, 2 minds, 1 soul. Separation can be a terrifying thing.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I would have stopped after the word soul.
Yeah.
Just don't stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
Separation can be a terrifying thing. It kind of gives the ending away.
Well, the problem with it though is they definitely are 2 completely different types of people. They're definitely 2 souls. They're opposite. They're like Patty Duke.
You're right. They're totally 2 souls.
They were two different souls, but they were totally like dependent on each other. So they were like two sides of one. The one soul thing is, and they both shared. That's what was interesting about it.
Well, they even brought up Chang and Eng, which is a fascinating story in its own.
Oh yeah, and itself, yeah.
The fact that although they were separate, they weren't.
Chang and Eng.
Yeah, they weren't going to be able to survive one without the other.
Right.
Well, this was Crystal's pick, so let's
of course
get the first impressions. Crystal, when did you first see this? I can't wait to hear.
I don't know how old I was, but I was definitely a kid when I watched it, and all I remember was how in love with Jeremy Irons I was. Oh my God, it's so weird. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm okay. So, I mean, I knew about female things and stuff. My mom was always open about going to the doctor and that sort of stuff. I'm surprised it didn't scare me away from gynecologists, but I was, God, so gross. I'm such a little weirdo. I was so attracted to Jeremy Irons. I just remember being like, isn't he so handsome? He's so handsome, and he's smart, and he knows all this stuff. God.
I thought the same thing. If it makes you feel any better.
I look at that now, and I'm like, I still think he's hot. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, oh yeah. From the beginning, I was just like doomed, but. I do remember the scene. Those red, are they scrubs? I don't know what they are technically.
They're not real, but yeah, they are amazing.
Oh yeah, I know. That's one of the things. I could have sworn there was another scene in this movie where they had brain surgery and an eyeball was looking at him, but that could have been from another movie that I just got confused with. But anyway, specifically the red scrubs was something that red is my favorite color. And so like seeing that, I am like, that is just gorgeous. And just the way that it is, it's kind of like, I think this movie is just really beautifully shot. I think Jeremy Irons is amazing. Amazing. Like when he's like, I want some ice cream. I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. He's like a kid. I think it's well done. I think the story is sad, and really I just don't, I think it's fascinating that they didn't delve into, I know they show a little portion of the twins' younger years, but they don't show their relationship with their parents or anything, because they are so dependent upon one another. You would assume that they only had one another for most of the time. Maybe they only respected each other. I don't know. I don't know what the whole thing is there, but I mean, I've known lots of twins, and lots of them are not this dependent upon each other. So they really do have that codependency. I like the two personalities. I think he did an amazing job of like showing both of the lead actress. I mean, I think she did a good job. I didn't find her very compelling. Maybe I just don't find her as sexy. I don't know. There's just something lacking with her, but she did a good job. And I mean, I know that had to be hard to like, doing with the two. The restaurant scene is great. It's amazing. I think if people haven't seen this movie, they definitely should see this movie. I'm shocked at how many people don't know about this movie, because I'm like, what about Dead Ringers? And they're like, huh, what? I think people are freaked out by the whole gynecological thing.
Yes, they are.
Which I don't know why. I mean, it's natural. It's normal.
Kind
It's
of
not natural, but it's normal. Yeah. But no, I still loved this movie. I found it more impactful and more sad at the end than I remember it. And, it's such there's kind of a role reversal at the end on who winds up being the strongest, which I didn't understand as a kid. I didn't even realize probably which one was which. I'm just like, oh yeah. I just knew that I liked the sweet one. So I don't think I realized that he, was I mean, are we giving spoilers? I mean, it's like last man standing,
Decades of
last man standing. Last man standing.
It's almost 30 years old.
20.
Oh yeah. So see, there you go. But right. I mean, I loved it still. I hope y'all did too, since I forced y'all to watch it.
Ow. I can't even see what you hit your head on. It looks like that's
On the
farther
wall.
back than that.
The wall.
Yeah, it's right here.
So Bill Mulligan,
Up against the wall.
when did you first see this, and what are your impressions?
I saw this, I guess, right when it came out on videotape. I didn't catch it in the theater. And this is the movie that I see in Cronenberg's history as sort of the dividing line, because when you look at what he did up to Dead Ringers, we have Rabid, The Brood, Scanners, Videodrome, Dead Zone, Fly, The Fly. And The Fly was what made him, everyone suddenly knew who Cronenberg was. And then Dead Ringers is not a monster movie, not as much body horror, except for the one little Cronenberg scene in there with the Siamese twin blobby thing between them. It was an atypical kind of Cronenberg film, and I think it showed that he wanted to get away from the sort of films that he was famous for into more psychological stuff. So it wasn't one of my favorites when I watched it, although I really appreciate Jeremy Irons. He is an amazing actor. He has a great voice. And in fact, I've discovered some linguists and some sound engineers tried to find the perfect human voice, and they said that if you could combine Jeremy Irons and Alan Rickman, you have I'm like, oh yeah, I totally see that. These are two guys who could read the phone book, and you'd be like, oh wow, this is really compelling. Just an amazing voice, and then you're like, oh my God, it's Scar. It's Scar. Yeah, of course. Who else would play a villain? So, but in this one too, it's very hard to pull off this twin thing. Now, I don't know about most people. When I went to watch this movie, I was pretty convinced, okay, how long before it's revealed there are no twins? It's just one guy who's schizophrenic. Because that's what every twin movie is. And if you go into the movie expecting that, get ready for a shock. They are actually twins. And, to play it, he clearly is two people. They even, unless it's just my imagination, they even look a little bit different. They are
one is
identical
taller.
Twins. One's taller, one seems a little thinner, even before one of them starts going into the drug stuff and everything. And he doesn't do it the way a bad actor would, where one character is so completely, flouncing around and the other is stern and everything. It's mild inflections and everything, just enough to sell you on the character. You really get to dislike one of the characters and have some real sympathy for the other one. It's just a fantastic job. Crystal, you say, why are people so uncomfortable with the gynecological thing? I think part of it is, as horror fans, I've seen more brain surgery than I have ever seen gynecological things, except every scene is always the same. The woman is like on the table, her legs are in, but there's a sheet covering everything, and I have no freaking clue what is going on behind that sheet.
That's probably imagination.
I was just thinking about that, because you even Crystal used the phrase. My mom was pretty open about women stuff, and that's how society refers to it universally at almost all levels. You don't get specific about it. It's just women stuff.
If you showed me a tool that is used to change the oil in a carbine tractor and said, this is a gynecological instrument, I'd be like, okay, if you say so. I have no evidence to disagree. So the scene that really skeeved me out, and I don't know, I'd be interested to know how a woman felt about it. When he is kind of losing his marbles, and this poor woman is there for an examination or something, and he's clearly hurting her. He doesn't intend to, but everything he does, you just see she's trying to be cool about this and everything, but he's not doing it right. And to me, that seems like such a violation. I mean, this guy, you're in a completely vulnerable position, and you have to really trust him.
You'd be shocked though. So I even had a female gynecologist once that's like, you just need to relax. And she said it just like that. It's pretty shocking, some of the stuff that I think, when you're in that position. Yeah, you're in that position. You think that someone, I don't know. It's a weird thing. I've had some bad doctors. I really have had some bad doctors.
Yeah.
And male and female, both.
I think it was meant to be.
Men.
I think it was meant to be. It was meant to be disturbing and meant.
It definitely was.
Yeah.
To watch. Well, go ahead, Bill.
I guess part of it is there's lots of scenes in movies where a doctor is menacing someone with a scalpel, but here we don't even see what he's doing. So your imagination is kind of, obviously they can never show this stuff because we're not allowed to see that kind of full frontal nudity and things. But
well, that's how it really is anyway. Like you have a whole cover over you when this is happening. That's really how it is. You're covered. You know that, right, guys? Like it really is. You're all covered, so you don't even see what's going on.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's going on during my colonoscopy because I'm thankfully unconscious at the time, so they could be.
Oh, yeah. See there, yeah.
Be doing all kinds of nonsense. Yeah, but no. I think it's a really good movie. It is completely carried on the performance. There's not a lot of horror elements, little bits and pieces. This is a real character study. Jeremy Irons was robbed for not being nominated for an Academy Award. I mean, not even he should have won, but at least he should have been nominated. And then when he later did win for the one where he played Klaus von Bülow, I can't remember the title of the movie.
Oh yeah.
I think he thanked David Cronenberg in his acceptance speech, which because I think he realized that was just an incredible performance. They also did a great job of doing the twin thing because most twin movies, you can almost see where the split in the screen is, where the two characters are talking to each other, and it almost never works. This was done very cleverly, really good composition, good photography. It doesn't jump out at you necessarily because it's kind of a cool temperature and everything, but it's really well composed and well shot. And this is a completely solid movie from start to finish. It's not my favorite Cronenberg, but it's one of his, I think, most accomplished ones.
Reversal of Fortune. Yeah,
that was it. Yes, excellent performance by him too.
All right, Mr. Chad Hunt. What did you think of this film? When did you first see this? Do you remember?
I rented
this. Why does he
this.
look so serious?
I'm sorry. I rented this off the shelf, and I remember, I was a fan of Cronenberg's movies up to that point, and remember reading about it in Fangoria because it was a Cronenberg film. Fangoria covered it, and so at the time that I watched it, I didn't get it. I was a younger guy. I didn't get it, So it's one of those, as the years have gone by, I've come to appreciate what it is. And I think that's kind of what hurt this movie is it was sold as a horror movie. Like Cronenberg is horror. When it's very much a psychological thriller. Oh, yeah. And like Bill said, a character study and a very good one, I thought. As far as I know, there haven't been that many movies that delved into the relationships of twins besides Freaky Friday, and I don't know if that counts. but I've come to appreciate it, and I can never get over the fact that if this wasn't sold as more Cronenberg body horror, then it would have done a lot better, because it's a very, very good film. The performances by Jeremy Irons was good. And like Bill brought out, the special effects were just almost flawless for the time. You didn't get these bad rotoscoped characters, where you can see the outline around the character appearing in the same scene together. And the first time I ever saw Genevieve Bujold was in the movie Coma, based on that Robin Cook novel back then. I remember that being one of the very first movies that HBO showed when HBO first came out, and I liked it for the nudity. Hey, I was a kid.
Yeah.
That
makes sense.
But
yep.
And I'm with Crystal on her performance. She's just sort of, and she's like that in a lot of movies. If you've watched her in other movies, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's because English isn't her. I think she's French, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, well, she does a great job.
Or is it French Canadian? So I wasn't sure if she was just having trouble with the English language and maybe that was the reason it fell kind of flat. But I do think this is one of her better performances in this film. So I think it, it's a really, it holds up really good. I don't know if I would call it horror, like we think of, like,
Well,
it's not a monster movie, but it is horror in a way, psychological. It's psychological.
I would totally call it horror because there's a murder and blood and creepy doctors. I mean, but we review a lot of movies where I'm like, is that horror? I'm like, no one got killed.
Well, I should say to me, I didn't feel
I'm totally
like it
with you
horror.
though. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was horrible.
Absolutely.
There were things that were horrible
Absolutely.
in the movie. And things that made you squirm and made you sort of feel disgusted and made you feel dirty for watching some scenes. Like the scene Bill was talking about, where he's using that tool on the lady, and she's for sure in pain, but never, and you're watching it, and you're like, that kind of thing. So it will make you squirm, and it will make you sort of disgusted in a ways. But on the other end of that, these are some very interesting characters. That and I don't think we've ever seen the portrayal of these, like I said earlier, this relationship with these two twins, and when you don't see it very often. So it's like Bill said too. It's not my favorite Cronenberg film, but I do think it's a very good film, and it's the more I watch it, the more appreciation I have for it, as far as that goes. That was very long-winded, and I'm sorry for the people.
No, that was good.
I'm with all of you guys in terms of Jeremy Irons' performance, and I think it's a very nuanced performance of the two different twins, and in fact, even he's almost like playing three different characters, because during part of the time he's playing one of them pretending to be the other
someone
one.
else, yeah.
Yeah, which is very good.
But not, it was all really interesting. I know there was, so I liked him. I like Genevieve Bujold, and the first time I saw her was in Anne of a Thousand Days. She got nominated for an Oscar for that with Richard Burton. There was a bunch of those movies from that era that came out in like the late 60s, early 70s.
She was very good in The Trojan Women too, as Cassandra.
Yeah. So I mean, I liked her. I thought she was playing, in a way. I want to get ahead of myself, but I'm going to anyway. I felt like she was sort of think about the scene in the trailer where Elliot goes to see her and she's made up, and we see her and first we see her from the opposite side and she looks completely normal.
Yeah.
And then when the camera spins around to Elliot's side, she's got makeup for the acting, but it was like a totally different face, right? It was sort of like
she was like
she had but she had those two sides too. She had like sort of a good and an evil side, and she really was the catalyst the synopsis is right. She's the catalyst that split them up, and strangely enough, she was actually apparently drugs didn't affect her like it affected those two guys, because she was able to like start and stop whenever she wanted to.
Well, she's an actress. I mean, she's a professional drug user, so
just
amateurs.
But I thought that was interesting because she brings him in, and then right away she's giving him drugs. What, Chad?
Well, I thought that too, and I felt like the drugs took them out of their relationship, the twins. So I felt the same thing. That's all I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah. So I liked her. I thought she had a good. She was a little nutty. She was a little creepy herself, and had a certain amount of angst. I thought was what for some of it, and I noticed in a lot of her lines there were sort of misplaced pauses. like sort of like Shatner did, only in a good way. I thought.
Yeah.
She would say the sentence, and then normally if you were saying that sentence, you would just say the last word, and she would say the last word, like a second later. Anyway, I don't know. I liked her. I liked all three of them. Jeremy Irons.
All three of them.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that was consistent with the other Cronenberg movies is Cronenberg does these weird characters with weird names.
Yeah.
And so that kind of carried through into this movie too. But it seemed very Cronenberg, but not Cronenberg at the same time.
Well,
if that makes sense.
About the drugs as well. Drugs always affect everyone differently. Like I have done tons of drugs and had no problem quitting at all. Whereas I've seen many people do the same thing and have every problem in the world, and the same with drinking. Like,
sure,
I don't really drink just because I don't like it, but I still will if I want to. But I also think she was taking like one type of drug, and I think that Beverly started taking uppers and downers, and that they started planning it out. So we'll take this, and then we'll take this, and then we'll when they were walking together, that was such a weird scene. I think
there were tons of drugs everywhere, different kinds everywhere that he was finding.
Yeah, I think that they are. I think Elliot believes in like living to excess in a way. And so Beverly was, I think, kind of feeding into that through his drug use. He took it to major excess. I mean, he was obviously a little out of it. I mean, he called and assumed that she was having an affair, which oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, and what a nasty, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was just. Sometimes I wonder. These men are both brilliant. I mean, they're geniuses, and I wonder if there's ever been studies on the effects of people who are especially intelligent when they take drugs and lose some of that. If maybe they're more susceptible to addiction because it's such a change for them. It can be difficult to be. It can be difficult to be intelligent and be aware of just how stupid everything is around you. And I could see the appeal of taking alcohol or drugs to just sort of dull your senses to the point where you're just as dim-witted as the way you perceive everybody else around you.
Right. Well, and also thinking you're smart enough to handle it,
Oh, okay. That you've just nailed. Oh, okay. I mean, I could tell you stories. There are, if people knew how many drug rehab clinics are full of genuinely brilliant people, like people who have achieved a great deal in life, they would be shocked at how many surgeons and airline pilots.
No, I did drugs with DAs and very affluent people that were not celebrities. Like it's, I mean, it is what it is. I do think a lot of highly intelligent people at least try drugs.
So in the movie, Beverly, like he's just like on a roller coaster, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he goes with her.
He's
and
like a child.
He actually, it's Elliot that gets him to take something, right? Because Elliot fills the prescription for whatever that was and gives it to Beverly and says, "Here, take this." She wants this. She says it makes sex like a nuclear explosion or something like that. And so he takes it and they do it. And that was, as far as we know anyway, because up until then he said, "No, I don't take drugs." And we haven't seen him take anything.
I don't think he had, yeah.
But then he just goes nuts. Like he can't sleep. So she gives him Seconal, and then he's taking Dex because he can't wake up. And anyway,
and she's a drug to him too. I got the feeling like most of the women that Beverly has had have been the ones that Elliot gave him. Which, in a sense, this one
right.
Yeah.
I think that's what he actually said.
Yeah, this one preferred him. This
you
one
would have never had
Beverly.
Sex,
not even a contest. She way preferred Beverly to Elliot, and I think that may have been something new for him. That all the others were just women who were.
And she figured that out. She figured that out relatively quick. That he was.
But
like
she was able to get him straightened out, but then when she left, she couldn't keep him straightened out.
Yeah.
And then when there's one period where she leaves, and then when she comes back, and I apparently she straightened him out again, but then he's going back to meet with Elliot, and she's like doesn't want him to, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll be back." And she says he won't let you come back, and
Right.
it turned out she was right. And so, let's take a look. We mentioned the surgical scrubs.
Now you know who designed those.
Who?
Cronenberg's sister, who was the costume designer on a number of his films, including this one. She died not too long ago, unfortunately, but she did a great job on these. They almost look like religious habits or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially when they were dressing him and he had his arms out to the
It
side.
reminds me of Q. It reminds me of Q from the from T and Q.
Okay.
When he wears his.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the little, I don't know what do you call it, but the little thing that drapes down alongside the head and behind them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not in most. Yeah.
Man, I just want to say, if I ever woke up during surgery and all my surgeons are dressed up like this, I would do whatever I could to escape.
There's a little piece that drapes over the shoulder, just like a priest or something. Would have
they would never wear all of that because that would that would impair their movement. It would make surgery very difficult. But
it does hide the blood if you make any accidents. If you accidentally cut the artery or something.
Now they make scrubs in all different colors.
They do make red scrubs. Yeah,
sure.
Mm-hmm.
They do. I was trying to look up to see, is this normal? What does that mean? Something in particular? And I found one that other one said, yeah, you can get red scrubs, but then another one said that might be the least popular color because that might freak out the patients a little bit as they're going in.
Well, in some hospitals, you're not allowed to. It depends on what floor you're on. Like if you're on the pediatric floor, they'll let you wear scrubs that have kids designs. And so it depends on the hospital and what you're doing. I don't think they'd let a surgeon wear red scrubs.
I think it was meant to make us feel uncomfortable.
Of course.
Well,
absolutely.
The whole point of that whole scene with the red was just to make us feel uncomfortable. Like, what the hell's going on here?
I think it was just meant to look beautiful because it's beautiful.
Yeah, right.
It is.
Like, I know I'm a big weirdo, but I love red. I love blood. I love gore. I love this. This is gorgeous to me. When I look at that, it is just beautiful. I love the way the scene is lit. I love the way it's behind the glass. I love the way, it's like a teach. I'm interested that they actually decided to use the sheet over the patient as red as well. But I bet you they tried it without a red one and it didn't have as much impact because that piece of red, it just it almost like it binds them together.
Yeah.
It's just
that's a really cool shot in the middle there where you've got the guys in their basic, gray suits and everything, colorless, lifeless, and then in the background is this splash of red. And it just reminds me, if you ever watch like movies that are set in the old days when they would operate and there'd be people sitting up in the gallery watching them, and it really is like a strange, horrifying religious rite that's going on. It's just a really cool scene.
For people that are listening to this, I hope we're not being too opaque about this, but we are showing pictures on the YouTube channel of people wearing these weird red surgical strubs that are like, this bizarre. It is. It's very much religious looking to me.
Oh, so in the new Rabid, the Soska sisters used, they had a little homage to this.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, Bill.
My idiot cat. I've moved everything into a new room, which is supposed to be cat free. But somehow, without opposable thumbs, he slipped his way in here, and he has never been in this room. So this is just
exploring.
It's his room now.
Too. It's his room now. Yeah. Seeing how many
this
things
is a
can I knock down?
Cronenberg film. We've mentioned his name a bajillion times. This is him, I guess, directing or working with the actor.
Look at how good he is. Let me tell you something about what people do. See how in the bottom shot he is mirroring Jeremy Irons with the leg up?
Yeah.
That's actually him relating to him. He's trying to relate to him and he's trying to like he's a genius. It's really I'm a total people watcher. I totally love to analyze.
I did not pick up on that. That's you, the actress, the smart actress, talking there. That's really cool. You're absolutely right.
He's trying to explain to him like what he wants, and when you mirror people, they actually listen to you better. So if you do this or if you do that, and you see someone else doing it, they're trying to relate to you. It's actually It's a good thing. It means
I haven't always been impressed with the acting in Cronenberg films, but then as he went on from like The Fly onward, when he was maybe working with better actors, he's gotten some great performances out of people.
He might have gotten better directing.
That's true too. I mean,
he might have gotten better directing them. Yeah,
you got the feeling watching some of the earlier ones that the actors were not his main focus, the way they would be for this film.
Probably trying to learn. Yeah. I mean, imagine like learning the shots, learning to make sure you get all the shots. What about the sound? What about this? I think that the acting can get absolutely lost.
This is a beautiful film though too. Not just the costumes, but the way it's shot. There's lots of. I mean, it's not a cliche, but there's lots of looking at, Beverly is constantly always like playing with the blinds and looking at the blinds and there's shadows and things created by that. And just I don't know, it's one of those films that you can just really look at the shot construction as you're going through.
Yeah. I will say another film, watching it the second time, this is the second time I've seen it, I appreciate it more than I did the first time. So.
Oh, me too, because I didn't understand all the ins and outs as well. But I've seen it a few times since obviously my childhood, but I think this is the first time I've seen it in like the last,
Yeah.
So Jeremy Irons has done a few things.
He's done a few things, and he's still doing a few things, I mean, He's Alfred in the Batman movies. He's in Watchmen. He's doing more and more genre stuff, which is cool. And often that's a sign when an actor is getting older that there's not much else being offered. But he
makes a great Alfred.
He's doing genre stuff in really high production stuff. Watchmen, the Batman movies. These are major motion pictures. He's not doing low budget Romanian stuff the way a few other actors who I really love, like Ben Kingsley. They show up in a lot of garbage. You don't see Jeremy Irons in a lot of garbage. The Time Machine was not great, but he made a terrific Morlock.
What is that bottom thing?
Watchmen. He's Ozymandias, older in the Watchmen TV show.
That looks awesome. I love that suit.
Yeah,
it's weird.
He was good. He's in that. What do I want to say? This Red Sparrow with Jennifer Lawrence. It's the sort of, I don't know. It's another sort of Bourne Identity type.
Yeah. I mean, if you want a villain, if you want someone who's maybe a little villainous and highly intelligent, I mean, I would not cast him as a hillbilly. I don't know if that's within his range, but as far as playing intelligent evil or not evil,
I would love to. Now you make me want to see. I'm like, I wonder. I bet he could pull it off. But wow, wouldn't that be weird?
No, he'd be reciting Shakespeare and just end with y'all.
What's the film next to Alfred? What's with that picture?
He's playing Alfred in one of the Batman movies or one of the Sniderverse superhero.
Is that Alfred as well?
I think that might be Justice League. Yeah, that both. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Justice League.
In the animated one? I'm talking about the animated one next to it.
That looks like just a still from a comic book. The picture on the right.
Yeah, it's just that's Alfred.
All
and
right,
Alfred,
it's just showing that he's playing that.
Right, yeah.
I thought maybe he voiced a character in something.
I believe he has done a lot of voice work in some animated things. Because God, I did hire him to do a voice. Yeah. Good Lord, yeah.
All right. Well, and so here they are, through the wonders of special effects, I guess. Jeremy Irons talking to Jeremy Irons.
That was a great scene.
It looks really good.
It's super well shot.
When he was laying down, Chad?
Yeah, that was a really touching scene. You could just I don't know. Like Crystal said earlier, it was a good movie, but it was very sad in a lot of
It
ways.
is an extremely sad movie.
Yeah.
Well,
that was just a touching scene.
Yeah, Elliot's going through the take these pills, this pill, this pill, this pill. Can you do that? Don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He was great in the Borgias.
And we also have
creepy little kids.
The who is this? Jonathan and Nicholas Harvey, I believe. They played weird. They played weird.
They played weird very well.
Yeah, they did. I was confused when it said Toronto at the very beginning of the movie, and then these two come out with their British accents, and then you hear the little girl go, ah! Then you knew it was Ontario.
Yeah.
You knew it was Canada.
You don't even know the meaning of the word.
You don't even know the meaning of the word. Ah!
I like it. And I know for a fact. I know for a fact. I don't know how she knew for a fact, but okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we played those through, and here's I don't know. You've got some shots of
Obsession and Coma at the
Ooh.
bottom. I think she has an
that looks
otherworldly
neat.
quality to her. She does. I mean, she's not a typical Hollywood beauty, though she's attractive, but in an unusual way, which makes her perfect for a Cronenberg movie. He doesn't usually. Stop.
Yeah.
I liked how they
Speaking
did
of
not.
mutants, that's a mutant right there. That's a Cronenberg cat if there ever was one.
I want your
Hairless
cat.
Sphinx. You little weirdo.
What are they called again?
Sphinxes.
The Sphinx.
A Sphinx,
Okay.
which are from, okay, keeping with the Cronenberg theme, they are from Canada. They were born
I
in a
want
barn in
your
Canada and
cat.
they should have all frozen to death, but they didn't, and they've kept the breed going.
Look at those eyes.
He's a great cat. He's a dirt master, but he's a sweetheart, and he likes to cuddle up under the covers with you because he's cold, because he has no fur. He's totally
Well,
naked.
no, like that one from the special effects dude. Like, I almost stole his cat. That cat was like, that cat told me what was what. Like, he wanted to be on my lap, and then when I wanted him off, he's like, he would look up at me. He's like, bitch. I mean, and I was like, okay. I let that.
Sorry for the interruption.
Sorry. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was nice that in this they did not. You know, she's somebody who's comfortable with her look. I think she did not insist on being all made up. There's a lot of scenes where she looks like you really work after you just got up and you've got no makeup on or anything. And I like that. I think a little more honesty. And we have
a happier scene, and there's that creepy. You know, the guy, I think it was Fangoria or one of them. They kept they had that shot at the bottom of the weird growth between them, the Siamese twin thing,
and so it gives you the wrong idea.
It gives you the totally wrong impression that that's the sort of thing you're going to get, and literally that's the only real body horror bit in the movie.
And it's not that bad, not really.
I don't know. I mean,
she starts eating.
Is there anything else you can see? I'm just saying those instruments, and then using them on an instrument, using those weird instruments on a person in surgery. That was creepy. On his brother. I mean, we didn't get to see it like close up and dirty, but it was
implied.
I knew there was some body horror going on.
Yeah. Only Cronenberg would show that and then have her eat it like she's eating. Oh God, man. The twins.
So I had no idea that Jill Hennessy had a twin.
Yeah,
Jill and Jackie Hennessy. Jackie's not an actress anymore, but Jill was in Law and Order, and I forget the name of the one where she was her. She was an Emmy in Boston. So. But then that was a pretty creepy dance too.
Yeah.
You know, y'all think it's creepy. I don't think it's creepy at all. So it's a girl and two guys. Big deal. No.
But you're right. No, that's not the creepy part. That's
it's the twin part that makes me.
So what?
No, the feeling I
got
was
so what?
Because look at the two chicks too. See, this is a double standard.
No.
And I said this.
No.
When I was
no,
watching
no.
this,
No.
I said this. No, you know why you're wrong? Because my very own husband, I was like, oh, look, it's finally a chick getting two dudes. And he's like, yep, more power to her. Like, of course, it's finally a chick getting her own.
But here's the thing that creeped me out was not that it was two guys and a girl. It's that I had the feeling that Elliot would have been perfectly happy if the girl left.
Right.
It seemed more like it was allegedly.
He was caressing Beverly, is what.
Yeah. The girl was just.
That happens.
That's
the excuse for this to happen. It's that's the.
I think that was the implication that.
Yeah.
He was more interested in his brother staying there.
That's fair. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That's gross.
So we're allowed to.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
I have no problem with if they weren't related.
I wasn't even thinking that. I wasn't even. I was just like, well, finally.
No, you're just focusing on two Jeremy Irons.
It's progressive. It was progressive. Yes.
Yeah.
Little
did you guys read
about Jeremy Irons?
But how creepy was it that he wanted the twins? He's like, you call me Elliot and you call me Bev.
Yeah, that's creepy.
That was weird.
Ooh.
Okay, that to me was weird.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
There were a lot of implications there that probably at the time they couldn't elaborate on.
You haven't experienced anything until I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what were we about to say? Sorry,
Did you notice the shot? Well, the shot at the end when he kills his brother, right?
Yes.
When he kills his brother. Did you notice, or at least I don't think I was seeing things when Beverly wakes up and he's laying on the table and he looks over and you see Elliot on the table over there. That room was like a mirror. It was almost like there was if you would have put a mirror at a cross between those two, you would have seen almost the same thing.
Interesting.
There was this little stainless steel table on rollers on next to each one of them, and they were both laying there. Except, there's a window behind Beverly, lights coming through on him, and there's a window behind Elliot. I don't know.
That was definitely for the symmetrical reasons because they basically
I just thought it was a cool layout.
Cool.
It wasn't
That's
perfectly
cool.
mirrored, but it was
enough to make it beautiful, right? Like that's beautiful. Like that's something I didn't even notice, and I normally would. But I was actually looking too hard. I was looking too hard at trying to see Elliot how bloody he was.
Yeah. I've got a shot at some of it somewhere, but it'd take me too long to find it. Did you guys see that there's a series in development of this?
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
What? Like right now?
Yeah. On Amazon, starring Rachel Weisz.
What?
So they've gender bent
I love her.
the premise.
Wait, she's the twin? Yes! That's what I swear to God I was just thinking. I was in the shower this morning and I was like, I swear to God, I was like, they need to do a gender bend of this. This would be fun.
It's Amazon. It's an Amazon thing. So I don't know if it's a one shot, a few,
like a mini series?
It was announced in something Variety or something in August last year.
I hope it actually happens because
I think it's interesting to turn that
off.
into what else that would get changed to. What do you call never mind.
I hope they don't just go the easy one twin is good and one twin is evil route because that's the usual twin story.
Because it really wasn't like that with these twins either.
No,
Elliot was not evil. Look how much he tried to fix and help and save his brother. Like I appreciate that they were dimensional characters. Like if you do one good and one bad, it's silly.
Yeah.
It's just silly.
So I caught myself trying to figure out. I read something about how Jeremy Irons. It's some technique where you try to have the center for the character come from someplace, and so one of them he wanted was the balls of his feet, and the other one was the heels. So he tried to, and I think Beverly was the balls of his feet. I'm not sure, but I was trying to watch that to see if I could tell if there was other than Elliot seemed much more confident and anchored.
Yeah.
whereas Elliot or Beverly was I don't want to say light-footed, but yeah, kind of just a little more
Skittish.
nervous, twitchy, skittish. Yeah, good word. So Bill, you mentioned that this was based on a real story.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have not heard this. This is
I believe they were in New York, not Canada, but they were twin gynecologists, well regarded, maybe not to the degree that the characters in the movie were, and they found them dead in their apartment, which was one of those hoarding situations where the place was just, the exact opposite of what you would expect two professional, wealthy gynecologists to be like. One of them had apparently died of pneumonia, and the other one, they never figured out why he died. They thought at first it was like murder suicide, or one had died of natural causes and the other one had killed himself, but they weren't able to, I think, determine why the second one died. But it was a big, New York Post, of course, just had a field day with this because it was just so weird that, these guys were very successful and no one had any idea just how strange their lives were outside of their professional life. Now, vast majority of this is fictional, of course, but I think they took that idea and sort of ran with it.
Well,
and the original book was based on that case, or those two as well.
I do think that surgeons are weird. They're usually all weird. And I love them. I love they're weird, but they're all typically weird. Specifically surgeons, not all doctors, but specifically surgeons are different. I mean, they are opening up people's bodies all the time.
I mean, it's the closest thing. Is the cliche is that surgeons have a god complex, but who can blame them? They're actually cutting you open and putting you back, and fixing you and putting you back together. The control that they have, and the level of knowledge that you have to go through to be a surgeon is just a brutal. Going to med school and surgical med school, it's rough. It's rough, and if you make a mistake, there's no denying it. It's the scars are there, or the death is there. It's a tough thing. So
I thought the whole thing with the red scrubs and the design of them, and then not even the ones that the two doctors wore when they were just seeing regular patients, they had this kind of weird layered robe look that actually kind of looked like a monk or something too, without the hood.
And these guys take it a step further. What do they work? They're working on fertility. They are literally allowing people to bring life into the world. I mean, if that's not going to give you a god complex, what would?
All right. Well, I think we should probably wind this up. Have we got any, Crystal, any last comments or anything?
Oh, God. I'm going to find out more about the real story. That's super creepy. But I can't wait to see the show.
I'll send you a link or something.
Yeah, totally. But no, I love this movie. I think, just don't expect some, crazy horror. I agree with Chad. I think it's horror because, we know the definition of horror. We've debated this. It's definitely horror. It's just to what degree you horror lovers are going to find it a horror and enjoy it.
Chad, anything you
want? It's if you're a Cronenberg fan, it's a departure from what he's usually known for, but it's still good, and it's still entertaining, and it's still a great character study of these two twins that a lot of times twins are played for comedy in movies for the most part, and but not this one. It gets into a really deep psychological space between these two characters that's just compelling as hell to me to watch him play both characters, and for the characters to, just because they're twins and they both are so different from each other, and how they play that back and forth is just an amazing performance to me. So just for that fact alone, I don't care if you think it's horror or psychological or whatever, it's a good film all around up. And And I do think it's Cronenberg trying to stretch his chops a little bit and delve into more of a character driven piece. No, and like I said earlier, I just feel like it would have done a lot better if it was advertised or promoted as a more psychological than the normal Cronenberg body horror type stuff. But yeah, if you've never seen it, it's really a great film to watch, and it's one that I'll definitely keep in my rotation. As far as great movies that I like to watch. So.
Yeah, I agree with both Crystal and Chad. I think if they marketed this more as a kind of a Brian De Palma film than the typical Cronenberg, it might have done well. But it's an excellent film, and it's just an amazing performance by Jeremy Irons, who's playing a couple of characters who are also not very sympathetic in a lot of ways. I mean, just the whole thing of pretending to be someone else, to sleep with a woman. I mean, that may not be the legal definition of rape, but it's certainly ethically and morally on the same plateau there. And yet we are able to empathize with what's happening to these guys, and it's an interesting movie. It's a very sad movie. There's no happiness in the ending at all. Cronenberg's movies don't usually end with everyone happy like rainbows, but and this is more of the same. So you know that if you're going into a Cronenberg film, but definitely recommend it. And Crystal's right. A lot of people don't know about it.
Yeah. There's a lot of neat details to this. Now, in terms of horror, the thing I found by far the most horrifying were the surgical instruments that he designed for the women whose it isn't the instruments, it's their bodies are wrong. So gynecological instruments for mutant women. And just looking at those and thinking about them being used for that was, I found extremely horrifying. And
did you
that
notice
opening sequence of the film.
Did you notice who the artist was?
Yeah.
No.
Stephen Lack from Scanner.
He's the star Scanner.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting.
I didn't pay attention. I love
Which Cronenberg does that a lot. He uses people that he's used in other films.
Because that makes sense. Totally. Yeah. I would too.
Interesting. To look into his background. But there's a lot of little like that. I talked about that one layout in that one shot where it almost could have been a mirror. But also like when Beverly is leaving Claire's apartment for the last time, and she says something to him about you've got to cut yourself loose. I just the term "cut" just seemed really. I mean, there's a lot of intentional things in there that I don't notice all the time, unless I'm really paying attention, and I think there's a lot of that in this film. Okay.
So what's next? What's next for us?
What is
Well, we do have some feedback first.
Oh, yay!
Feedback. You might want to refresh your thing. I just added it in there for episode 171, The Hitcher. We're gradually catching up. Chad, can you see those, or should I just read them?
No.
Okay.
It's not showing up for me, even when our
all right. So first off was Donnie Salvo. Says great episode, great movie. The remake wasn't so bad either. I would go with the first one.
I haven't seen it,
but it's different, and it's it shows the stuff you don't see in the first one.
Oh, interesting.
Like Jennifer Jason Leigh getting ripped apart.
Oh no!
Only it's a guy. Only it's a guy this time.
Oh, that's all right.
And from a guy named Keith Ackerson, and I think maybe this was a friend of Daphne's, because his comment was,
"Oh, that's two strikes against him already."
Oh,
Thanks for the podcast tip. I'm already having fond memories of seeing this at the Everett Mall. Might do some subscription juggling so I can stream it.
Aw.
So that's cool. And then Daphne.
Yay!
Yay!
Who is now an official member of the classic era Grue-Crew. So, and she said, "I'm so excited to listen to this. I saw the movie so many times and I love it. French fries, yay!" Yeah, the fingers, yeah. But then she says, "I think you folks may have overanalyzed this,
We
or
probably
maybe
did.
this is my motel hell."
Ah,
I totally agree that the desert is a character. I think this movie is so much fun. I should probably watch it again to check out the gaping story holes. But sometimes that doesn't bug me too much. The visuals, the excitement, and Rutger Hauer are what kept my attention. So I'm with you there, Daphne. He was impressive. So yeah, don't forget, Gruesome Magazine YouTube channel. Check it out. You can, like, subscribe, comment,
share,
all those things. We appreciate
Hit the
it.
bell. Hit the bell to get the notifications.
And you can still get us on audio podcasts and all your streaming apps under the, I believe it's listed as HNR, Horror News Radio. Search for Horror News Radio. And we also have Patreon subscribers. So if you want to donate to Patreon, our Patreon account, you get lots of good stuff right now. Doc's into pushing out classic decades of horror stuff. So he did The Car recently, and I forget what he just did. But anyway, lots of good old stuff, and a lot of stuff with Santos Ellen Jr., our old friend. So yeah, do that. And you get decades of horror like a week or 2 weeks early, somewhere in that neighborhood. All right. That's it, Grue Believers. But every 2 weeks, we'll be focusing on a specific film released between 1980 and 1989. Next up, we tackle one chosen by Chad. Do you remember what you picked, Chad?
Well,
I forgot to change it in the thing.
You didn't change it in there? 80s.
It's a comic book character. Returns.
Oh, now I remember. Howard the Duck, Part 2.
That's it. Horror as you like it. I can't remember, Jeff.
Return of the Swamp Thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I didn't change that. I hate when I do that. Let me make sure.
Return of the Swamp Thing.
Return of the Swamp Thing. And it's on, I think it's on Prime, right?
I think it's on Prime, yeah.
And, if it's not, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing like
All
Wes
right.
Craven's version of Swamp Thing. This takes a totally more over-the-top comedic turn than...
In a better suit.
Yeah, in a better suit, though. Yeah.
Way better.
I think we like better suits.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
But it's a definite change of pace
guys,
than Dead Ringers.
catch us-
yeah.
That's
Another
true.
great horror movie of the 1980s. What's that?
Change
I said
your pace
it's
from Dead Ringers.
definitely less serious than Dead Ringers.
Okay.
Is this
Catch
thing
us
on?
again here in 2 weeks. and Cannibal Holocaust. Less serious than Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, a little. Yeah.
Catch us again here in 2 weeks
Catch us
Easy
for
again.
another
Catch
great
us
horror
again here.
movie of the
Catch us again here.
1980s, as only decades of horror can do it.
Waka,
Oh
waka.
Lord, say goodnight, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, bye, kitty.
Bye.